This beauty right here is the Lofree Flow Lite. It's technically a mix between being a version 1.5 of the original Flow model and its own standalone product, depending on who you ask, I suppose. However, you'll see how that overlaps quite a bit, and this is genuinely one of the most interesting and in a lot of ways respectable keyboards I've reviewed in the low profile market in a hot minute, and today we'll cover everything from A to Z, so let's get started. Lofree prefers to keep their packaging pretty minimalist, and the Flow Lite is no exception to that. So you've got a clean box here, remove all that protective packaging, and then you've got a paperback slip, remove that, and then you can open up the box itself. Inside, firstly, you'll find some documentation like the quick start guide, warranty and regulation information. Past that, some more protective packaging, and behind that, finally, the Lofree Flow Lite in the glorious white color. But more on that in just a minute. We also do get a USB Type-C charging cable, and that's pretty much it for what's inside the box. In typical Lofree fashion, the keyboard aesthetically looks absolutely stunning. I mean, that white color with those white keycaps is so well executed. Also, I love the fact that the keyboard keeps a minimalist profile, and now you even have this golden scroll wheel over here, which is a very nice touch an addition when compared to the original Flow. Now, you will also notice that the material now is full plastic, which means it's not as premium as the original aluminum frame we had with the Lofree Flow, but they had to do that to kind of reduce the price, which we'll talk about towards the end of this video. Now, going towards the side profiles, you notice since this is a low profile keyboard, you have a very sleek form factor similar to the original Flow, and this is the 84 key version. They also have a larger 96% version as well. On the back side, you'll notice again a plastic finishing, not nearly as premium, but it's not too noticeable, and the plastic here is pretty sturdy overall. You also do have a couple of rubber grips, and you'll notice you have height raisers as well, which is nice. And one thing I love, despite being a low profile keyboard, you actually have a slot for your USB-A dongle, something that is almost non-existent on every other low profile keyboard, so definitely great engineering over there. On the sides, again, a low profile, and on the rear side, you'll notice a few things. You firstly have a switch to go between wired, wireless, and Bluetooth mode. And then you'll also notice on the other side, you do have a USB Type-C charging port. Coming back to the front side of the keyboard, so immediately you'll notice one awkward thing, and that is the positioning of the actual font with the keycaps, which is kind of squished towards the top area. It should have been more centralized in my opinion, and it's not a huge thing, but it just seems a little off. Now, with that said, you do have shine through keycaps, which is good because you do have a fully white backlit keyboard with multiple brightness settings. You do not get the RGB side light that you got with the original Flow. That's reserved as a more premium feature per se. You'll also notice that the actual keycaps themselves are double shot PBT, and my goodness are they smooth. They just feel really nice, well polished, and they're pretty nice ergonomically as well thanks to the natural curvature. The Flow Lite comes standard with Spectre switches, which is basically a collaboration between Lofree and Kahil, and essentially they've got 40 gram force actuation force. The result is that you get an extremely cloud-like and smooth typing experience that, dare I say, is even smoother than the original Flow. And part of this is because while you still have the gasket mount, you now also have a plastic body, which actually does a slightly better job at dampening as well as absorbing vibration compared to an aluminum frame, which is very interesting but true nonetheless. And honestly, I wish you could feel what I'm feeling, but the fact is you can still hear it. And what I've done to make things very interesting here is I've actually done a typing test with the Flow Lite and then another one with the original Flow. Let me know if you can hear the difference. So here's the test. In the connectivity department, you can connect via Bluetooth 5.4, you can use a wired connection, and we finally now have 2.4 gigahertz connectivity thanks to the wireless dongle, something that was entirely missing with the original Flow, and something it was quite heavily criticized for. Now, we also do have the same standard 2000 milliamp hour battery that we had with the original, which is a bit of a shame because I was hoping to get upgraded to 4000, which means we still get just about 100 hours of runtime with all the lighting off, but realistically, if you have backlighting on, you're gonna get around 25 to 30 hours. Unfortunately, we're still stuck with Lofree's proprietary mapping software because we don't have QMKBS support, at least not with this iteration, maybe in a future version, hopefully. The Flow Lite has a targeted MSRP pricing of $130 which is approximately $30 cheaper than the original Flow. And the biggest compromise is that you no longer get an aluminum frame, rather you get a plastic ABS frame instead. But I gotta tell you, it's a very solid frame and you actually get better sound dampening as well as vibration absorption as a result of using plastic rather than a more bouncy aluminum frame. And you still do get that same gasket mount, so you've got that cloud-like, super smooth and ultra creamy typing experience that you had with the original to a better extent, might I argue. The other big compromise here is you no longer get the RGB side lights, but you still do get standard backlighting. So if you're not big on the whole RGB thing, there's not much you're missing out on. And the added bonus of now having 2.4 gigahertz connectivity is honestly a huge quality of life upgrade with a 1000 hertz polling rate. The final thing to watch out for again is the lack of QMKVS support, but if you don't really need any proprietary mapping, then that's not going to be a deal breaker for you either. And you also now of course have the golden scroll wheel, which is again a nice quality of life upgrade. I genuinely think the Flow Lite is in every way a superior version of the Flow while costing less. If you're willing to look away from the lack of an aluminum frame, this really is the creamiest low profile keyboard you can get right now with your money, and one that I can wholeheartedly recommend, even though I still believe there's a slightly higher markup than there should be for a keyboard like this. But you know, what are you gonna do? The heart wants what it wants, right? Let me know what you think of this keyboard. Let me know your thoughts if you already have it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video. It genuinely helps us grow. Catch you in the next one.